In the high reaches of the Kenai Mountains, a river is born. Drop by drop, stream by stream, all joining in a course toward the sea. The Kenai River Watershed. In this union there is power, diversity, and complexity. The complexity of the Kenai River watershed is affected by time and by time's constant companion, change. At the heart of the watershed's health is our ability to predict and affect that change, to balance the needs and interests of all watershed inhabitants over time. Who is central to this balance? Who most influences the health of the watershed? When you look into a reflecting pool, who do you see? The numbers are astounding. 2,200 square miles, 1.4 million acres draining into Cook Inlet, mountains, forests, lakes, streams, and one of Alaska's natural treasures, more than 82 miles long, the Kenai River, tying this vast area to Cook Inlet. Abundance. The Kenai River watershed has become home to a wide range of economic and recreational opportunities. The activities may be many and diverse, but it's pretty clear that most people in the watershed share some common values and desires. To have a healthy river and healthy, vigorous habitats for fish and wildlife. To continue access to a simply amazing variety of recreation. To maintain and balance all the varied economic benefits, from fishing to oil and gas. To forever assure the availability of things that caress the eye and the soul, from wild beauty to tranquility. And to preserve a sense of place and community, of rural friendliness, and the many treasured special spots throughout the watershed.
To me, the river is something so special. It's one of the most beautiful rivers that I've ever seen. It's beautiful every season. There are things to do around the river every season. And I think that most of us in Soldotna have a real love affair with this river.
Since the Kenai watershed has become beloved of many, it has become harder to meet the varied needs of the present without compromising the needs of future generations.
I think when we look at the river just today, this very day, and we see how beautiful and clean it is, we want it to stay that way, because we know that if it isn't kept this way, we will lose our fisheries. We will lose a thing that's very important, not just to our town, but to the whole peninsula. And I think that we all want the same thing. We want to preserve this river.
Some change is subtle, swirling around us lazily, like an unnoticed eddy. Other change is much more visible. And much change stems from individual actions, which by themselves may seem insignificant.
For the last 10 years, I've worked at the Visitor Information Center on the banks of the river, and the thing that I watched, and it really broke my heart, was how the riverbank was just destroyed. And I didn't know what I could do about it, and I kept talking to city council people and talking to anybody that I thought cared, and said, we've got to save the riverbank. And finally, they put in the fish walk, and that was really a happy thing for me, because now there's still the place for the little fries to grow up, there's still the place for spawning, and we still can have fishermen.
Individual actions, like ripples in a pool, affect all the intertwined interests and needs of the watershed. Change something upstream, you know it changes something downstream. Do something over here, it affects something way over there. Over time, all of our actions add up and have lasting, irreversible effects on the environmental, social, and economic health of the watershed.
I've had the privilege of living beside the Kenai River at this spot for over 50 years. And in the background, you will see the westernmost boundary of my homestead. I always have to remember that although we were a great impact to the whole population of the Kenai Peninsula, that the Dena'ina people before us had subsisted on this river for hundreds of years, was very valuable to them with the fishery source and the source of food and habitation.
Well, having grown up in Cooper Landing, born in Anchorage, and lived all my life on the river, there's been a lot of change. And that change is visible if you look behind me at the construction project here at the mouth of Soldotna Creek in the middle of Soldotna, and the restoration we've had to do versus the way it was 55 years ago when I was born here. It didn't need any restoration back in those days, but due to human contact with the riverbanks and the watershed, why things have changed, and it's time to start giving back and rebuilding that habitat so that future generations, our kids and our kids' kids, will have some place to fish and hunt and enjoy the waterways, and not always just be after the resource, but to come and view and enjoy the water itself.
Change is a constant in the natural world, but man-made change requires looking ahead carefully. If those who live, work, and play here simply let the future follow an unguided course, the continued health of the watershed is not guaranteed.
We have to remember that as individuals, we are each responsible for what happens at this place.
Ensuring the overall health of the watershed and the common values which flow from it is not a matter of a quick one-time fix, nor is it a matter of merely reacting to immediate threats and crises. It requires awareness and education, thoughtful action and individual planning, developing long-range vision, and quite often a willingness to put off immediate gratification.
We really need to be concerned about the sustainability. We can't continue to abuse the river and the resource. Otherwise, our fisheries will collapse. There will be no fisheries. There will be no sports fishing or commercial fishing. And we want both of those to happen because they work well together if everybody works together.
The idea of sustainability is this: while we enjoy the bounty of the watershed, we need to keep our communities vital and to maintain productive economies without depleting the very resources which support those things in the first place. Think of sustainability in terms of the salmon. Take out fewer than return each year, then the number of salmon likely will multiply. The resource is sustained. We have balanced our needs with the needs of nature. We have balanced the present with tomorrow. But maintaining the health of the watershed goes far beyond being careful with the salmon. We must apply the notion of sustainability to questions of growth and development, to ways we use the land, to how we play on the water, and even to the actions of individuals, literally in their own backyards.
I think it's obvious that we can't afford to just sit back and let Mother Nature restore it in her own way. Humans need to help in that regard by both education and visibly doing bank restoration such as here at Soldotna Creek and other places on the river.
It's a question of stewardship, taking thoughtful responsibility for what we do, keeping in mind that the ripples of our individual actions can have positive and negative effects, both in the present and in the future. It's a nice idea, stewardship, being a keeper of the river. On the individual level, it means thinking about much of what you do, like how you build, or where you move the earth, or what you put into the soil, and what goes down the drain. Or, when you go afield, stewardship can mean little things like thinking about where you bring your boat to the bank, or where you choose to walk or fish. The single most important step anyone can take is to learn more. Learn more about the complex interaction of nature's needs and human interests. Learn more about stewardship and sustainability. A good way to learn is through sharing. In the best spirit of community, local groups have blossomed to develop and share information and tools to sustain the health of the watershed. The Kenai Watershed Forum, for instance, is a broad-based citizens group organized to improve understanding of the watershed, to find local solutions to environmental and economic issues, and to promote a sustainable economy and responsible development. To help do these things, the Watershed Forum provides and continually updates conservation information through workshops and print materials. conducts water quality testing and monitoring projects, runs adopt-a-stream programs to teach children about stewardship, and hosts the Kenai River Festival. Huge amounts of fun, blended with many opportunities to share and to learn.
The Watershed Forum is really a unique group in that we're not a special interest group. We're an organization that anyone can get involved in, and we encourage everyone to get involved, because by being involved in the Watershed Forum, you really have an opportunity to help shape the future.
There are all kinds of people involved with the Kenai Watershed Forum or working with us on projects. We have business people and fishermen and school teachers and school kids and property owners along the river and students and retirees. And what we all have in common is a desire for living in healthy communities and a healthy watershed.
Another organization actively helping is Kachemak Heritage Land Trust. Land trusts like KHLT work with willing property owners to help preserve their land's significant natural, recreational, or cultural values forever. Landowners can choose from a variety of options. A conservation easement is one of these choices. Conservation easements are voluntary legal agreements which permanently preserve things like open space, wildlife habitat, and agricultural values of the land. All these values are protected forever, while the property owner maintains ownership and use of the land.
The Land Trust, working with landowners as individuals, can help preserve the significant places on the Kenai River that make this area so special. By preserving habitat and recreational uses, by preserving it for the public's use and for private use, we all benefit.
And there's the Nature Conservancy of Alaska, which promotes community-based conservation, balancing environmental needs with the economic needs of watershed communities. The Nature Conservancy builds local partnerships to find creative ways to protect the watershed, ways which make sense to those who live here. The Conservancy also pursues science-based conservation, and it provides technical and financial support to groups like the Kenai Watershed Forum and the Kachemak Heritage Land Trust.
The Nature Conservancy has been working in community-based conservation now for approximately 10 years. We've moved into that area because when we've discovered that really to protect biodiversity, we need to look at much larger areas, not the small preserves that we were attempting to protect in our 50 years of working here in conservation. A lot of other agencies and organizations are finding that out also. But when you look at a watershed, you certainly aren't interested in buying it, even if you had the capacity to do so. And people live and work in these watersheds. So we've had to learn how to work with people and how to learn from people and how to take a back seat in some cases to listening to what the community needs and wants and what they think their conservation gaps are. And in that way, the Conservancies help to facilitate some of their concerns and some of their efforts and activities they believe needs to occur in order for the area in which they live in to remain healthy.
These and other groups made up of your neighbors focus on maintaining the health and vitality of the watershed. They help those who live here and those who visit the watershed to learn how to take better care of this wonderful place.
I don't think that there are sides on this issue of the river. I think that all of us want the very best thing to happen for the river. We want it to be used for recreation. We want it to be used to sustain the commercial fisheries. And we want it just to be used for the beauty and the aesthetics of the river.
What makes a watershed healthy? It's not just rivers and streams being able to flow from glaciers to ocean. It's not just the right number of fish returning home. It's diversity. It's vitality. It's a complex balance, a balance able to exist through time between economy, people, and the environment. And in particular, a healthy watershed means there's sustainability, the chance for the many common values we share and cherish to continue generation to generation.
From 1973 to 1998, there has been an incredible amount of changes. We had some pretty bad fishing years in the mid to early to late 70s. Through planning and proper biological measures, fishing has increased. But at the same time, there have been a lot of other pressures on the river. There's been much growth building on the riverbank. There's been a lot of sport fishing on the banks, a lot of guiding operations, which are all a part of the growth of the area. They've all fueled the growth of the area, and they're all an important component in the economy of the region. We must find a balance between all these various groups. It's not us versus them, as I said earlier, but we must find a common ground and ultimately protect the Kenai River, because it's the future of this area and future of the Kenai Peninsula.
Can one person make a difference? Can you make a difference? Yes, and not only by responsible stewardship right in your own backyard. Like each and every person in the Kenai River watershed, you can make a significant difference. You can help to take good care of the present to provide a legacy for the future. By learning, by taking action, and by working with others, you can assure the continuing health of this place so many love.